Let's see, okay. Dominic was felt surprised that Roper knew about the incident. He wondered if it was right. Strange for him to feel a slight bit of pride. A foreigner knew about some infamous crime in Zeta. Back home in Zeta. One of them is named Trapped. He's my half-brother. Did they die? I better check. Trapped noticed. Most of them died. Both of them were taken into custody by the police. I'm sure they'll end up in the electric chair someday. They use the gas chamber in that part of the country. Roper corrected. Dominic wondered how he knew that. And why. It wasn't your fault, young man, Roper said. Unless you knew about it beforehand or took part in it. It's a funny phrase, isn't it? Beforehand. I am partially responsible. Trapped stressed. The two men were white supremacists. Everyone's, let's see. Everyone's... Did I say that they were that? I can't remember. I'm not sure. Let's see. How many... I'm thinking of today. How many white supremacists are there in the United States? Probably more than people think, but probably... It's not like there's a million of them, probably. Would there be a million? Is one out of every 30 people a white supremacist of some kind? I don't know. I'm not... The math is wrong, probably. Not sure what a million out of 300 million people is. Percentile-wise. Two men were white supremacists. Dominic said. I doubt you're a white supremacist. Assist. You're about... You look... half-white. I bullied my little brother when we were younger. Crap explained. I was very vicious. Extremely vicious. Then. Keep thinking, if you had a car accident 20 years ago, from 1950, what kind of car would that be? It wouldn't be like a Model T. By the 1930s, we had modern-looking cars, and modern-looking planes. Well, relatively speaking, It looked like a plane. People would recognize it as a plane, not like one of those biplanes. And anyway, you can see a car from 1930 and know that's a car. Not some horseless carriage like some really ancient early cars were called, And they looked kind of like carriages, except with, well, no horse. That's what they called them, horseless carriages, I guess. Those were like very early. They were kind of like a novelty, how rich people, they get the things first, and it's like a novelty for them, like something to show, geez, look how successful and trend-setting I am. And then eventually it gets down to the point where every even someone destitute can have a car. It's extremely vicious to him. I think that's where it started. Dominique supposed he could see a connection then, but it was probably the wrong move to say something like, yeah, it is your fault. Well then, when they were already under a lot of stress, Roper went up to Trap and looked like he was going to slap him, or punch, or do something physical to him. He ended up, let's see, with shoulder. Sometimes I think you should set stories in the present because there's not that gap of time, you know. Like, if you set the story in the 1860s, well, you know, all these people would be dead anyway. No matter what happened. I mean, there's that. Maybe I'm just the only one who thinks like that. Because, you know, maybe other people say, like, well, you know, they're kind of like trapped in a time bubble, you know. And at this point in the timeline in 1860, they'll always be alive, you know. Like, you could always go back in time and see them, and it would be like, yeah, it's like you never died. And in my present, you're just some skeleton in a box somewhere. But here, you're flesh and blood. And, you know, that will be the case with us someday, I guess, unless they find a cure for death, or some kind of immortality, which I think is possible with all the advances in medicine. I mean, we're probably closer to that than we've ever been, you know. Maybe they'll have reanimation soon, where if you die, they can just bring you back to life. Let's see, something physical to him. He ended up just patting the man on the shoulder in a comforting way. One, is it? Roper asked. Raper asked. No. I usually don't have characters who are rapists unless they're supposed to be like the worst of the worst. And, yeah, that's a trait you assign to the worst of the worst. And, well, I'm sure it would say murder is worse than rape, but, I think people can sympathize more easily with a murderer than a rapist. And I'm pretty sure that, sexual deviants, like pedophiles, they're, like, way at the bottom. And I doubt anyone, except maybe another pedophile, could sympathize with the plight of a pedophile. Let's see. Come on, is it? Yes, sir. Trap replied, looking less distressed as he gazed into Roper's stern but fatherly eyes. Dominique was pretty sure Roper was no father. Was not a father to anyone, except metaphorically to his men, like back in the war. Dominique had led men in war, and he doubted anyone, even the most boyish, viewed him in a fatherly way. Now is not the best time for worrying about such things, Roper said. The past is the past. We can't change it. Your half-brother or brother? I know when it's different parents, it's half, but sometimes, you know, like, if I had brothers who were half-brothers, I would call them brothers. Let's see. Your half-brother, and his accomplice, will pay for their crimes. You can apologize to your brother if you want. They're not gonna execute him before this incident resolved. I do owe him an apology. Trap admitted. Well, that's that. Agreed. Agreed, Roper said. But stressed. Just for the bullying. You don't owe any apology to over their actions. His misdeed. Those dead women and children are on him. Right. Trap seemed to agree, though his voice was uncertain. I'm sure God will forgive. Doesn't blame you for what happened. Roper said, "It is your brother who will be damned, not you." Okay. Trap sniffled. Roper moved on immediately, smiled, and patted the soldier on the back. A moment later, he was back to business. Is Trap young? I guess he is. Keep seeing Roper, picturing Roper as an older man because the character he's named after from other stories I like is was a guy in his 50s or so in that story. I'm not sure if this Roper will live to be in his 50s, but is there any events I had planned for later in the story? Probably unlikely. Check those bombs again. Roper ordered the engineers among the soldiers. Don't want to get stuck here. I want to get all the way through this base and find the things don't work. Yes, sir. The engineers replied. Private Parker was one of them, and he confirmed. Checked the bombs twice. They'll all work, sir. Parker said. I just hope they're strong enough to get done, to do what we need them to. Have some faith, Parker. Roper replied coolly. I inspected the bombs myself. I'm going to use a bomb significantly weaker than that to blow up a Bloodkin Dam. Granted, I didn't make the whole thing crumble into the lake, to the reservoir, but it still took Bloodkins over a year, to repair the damage. Granted, I didn't make the whole thing crumble into the reservoir. But it still took the Bloodkins over a year to repair the damage. Rumble. Now isn't the best time to gloat about past adventures. There's dumb neat thought. The men were soon after. They didn't rub anyone out. Rub any other guards on the way to the entrance. They were soon at the fence. Fence that led underneath, beyond which which laid the mountain roads, and the one they had to get to. The guards discovered you escaped. The gatehouse, this was well guarded by a dozen men. There were 5 more. And there were more on patrol about the fences. The fence was a typical chain link type without the use of, without a, well, barbed wire on the top, nor electricity, nor was it electrified. There was a big enough gap underneath the fence for men to crawl under. Yeah, I watched a horror movie the other day. A guy tried to climb under a fence, and a giant killer mutant bear was after him, and he didn't seem to make it. I assumed he got killed. They cut away after he got grabbed by the bear, so, you know. I mean, I don't know why you'd do that. Why cut away when you could show all the gruesomeness of a bear attack, you know? Over noticed some commotion about the perimeter of the facility, and he got on the radio. He was dismayed by what he was told. It looks like the enemy found our rope. Roper noted to his comrades, and they cut it down. Everyone who looking back at him had to look like he had just pronounced them dead. Like they were standing before some judge who gave them all the death sentence. What the hell? Well, I guess that's... I guess we're stranded, Dominique said coolly. Should have had them raise the ladder up. Rope up after we left. Or replied in an almost dismissive way. Dominique half expected to say something glib like, well, live and learn. Yeah. You shouldn't mix chlorine with urine? Well, live and learn. I mean, you shouldn't mix bleach with urine? Well, live and learn. Let's see, superficial. You shouldn't touch an electric wire while standing in water? Hey, live and learn. Let's see. It's too late for should-haves. Parker mode. Guess we'll be hiding till the Z ends and waiting for rescue. Rescue then. Roper muttered. Roper saw a lot of men. That makes saw a lot of men. Worried that this Lord of the Rings is influencing me, making me be a little too wordy. Because, as they say, talk is cheap. Dominique saw a lot of men running about. Guards running around the courtyard. The front yard. Saw a lot of guards running around the front yard. They seem like bees buzzing about a hive after some punk kid kicked it or fired or launched some hit it with a rock via a slingshot. It was going to be 10 times as hard sneaking back through there. If it was even possible. Maybe even someone who could turn invisible. Maybe even somebody who could turn invisible would be caught. Shit. We continue with the mission. Roper muttered. The group got through. Got under the fence and quickly got to the cover of some rocks. They moved just quick enough to avoid a few patrolling guards who were still calm. They were still calm in their movements. More guards were soon at the guardhouse. At the same time, some officer came out into the open and said some things. And then Dominique suddenly felt like it was back in the war, and he was in some commando outfit deep behind enemy lines. That annoyed him deeply. Deeply. Jade lost the war. The time for sneaking around them should have been over. If anyone should have to sneak around in their bellies, it was the Jade. They were the... Perhaps the Zatin boys on behind that rubble will make these guys. Perhaps soon the Jade will be back, sneaking around the shadows of the world. That makes said to his comrades, Handel and Yetters mostly, but they were the closest. What was the rank of Parker? Do I have too many guys with P names? Parker, Peterson. But I mostly call him Mike. I think it's kind of good. Good that they're come out of the shadows. Yeah, there's none. It's easiest to kill. Kill the snake when he's slithering. The open. Not when he's hiding off in some cave or beneath in some bushes. Yeah, there's had a point. Roper addressed the group. Something's going on. Entrance. Roper nodded. And passed a pair of binoculars around. What did Roper see? Find out next time. Have a nice day, folks. See you later.